Here is the replacing a sky exercise that we went through in class somewhat hastily, so I promised you that I'd go over it in more detail in a tutorial, so here it is. I'm going to work with the exact same files, and then later on we'll try some other file combinations, but for now let's work on what we did in class. So step one, again, just as a safety measure, I always would duplicate the background for a copy. The next step then is to select the sky, because even though it's not completely even, it certainly is something that we could put some interesting clouds in if we craft it well enough. Okay? So I'm going to go up to Select, Color Range, and we'll leave it set at the defaults, except I did do one thing slightly different. In class we were using the default of 40. I took it down a little bit more to work a little bit more closely around those leaves. Okay, so I lowered the fuzziness, if you will, for a sharper outline. So I have one already sitting here, but I'm going to cancel that out. It may come right back, so let's see. It may be saved in the file. Yes, it is. Okay, so I'll just start again. I'll go ahead and there's my eyedropper tool, and I'll just click once, and you'll see that it already starts to pick out a good bit of the sky. Now, here's the thing. You have to click one time, just like I just did, and then, and only then, do you hold down the Shift key to add to that selection. And watch this. I want to show you this because I saw a lot of you doing it. If you happen to go outside of the picture border, watch what happens to the preview. Bingo. Okay, that won't work. So if you see that happen in the preview, you've got to start over again, okay? Not that big a deal. But once I have a selection, it doesn't matter where I pick back up on this. Let me move this guy out of the way a little bit. And I can, again, once I have this started, I can take my finger off of the Shift key and the mouse, but then I'll start again. I'll hit Shift. You'll see the little tiny plus on the eyedropper, and I've already worked around here a little bit, so you don't have to hit everything, okay? And then release. So we've got this. Pretty much what we did in class, except I have another little change that might help some. So I will select OK. And when I do that, you can see we get the marching ants showing us that that selection for now has been saved. And what I need to do is this right now, and this is a little different than what we did in class. I'm going to do this one extra little step that will help encroach on those blurry leaves a little bit and take more of that blue that seems to want to cling around them off the selection. So the selection's still active. I want to go up to Select, Modify, and I want to expand the selection. Expand the selection with the selection active by 1 pixel, and I'll click OK. And you might see some slight difference in the trees when you do that. That will help with anything that's not quite sharp back there in those leaves. So I've got now the active selection that I want that's been modified and expanded by 1 pixel. I will now just go up, and I'm going to hold down the Option key with this layer active, so I will just automatically mask it, like so. If I turn this off, there it is. Okay, and if I zoom in a little bit here, you'll see that there's still a little bit of blue hanging around, but not much. And I'm looking at this at 300%, so that's not going to show up in a print. Okay? So we're good there. What I have to do now is File. I'm going to open Recent. I'll do Clouds, PSD. And this again is what we worked with in class. And it's open now, and we're good. So all I need to do now is click on the barn image so that I've got them both up in the window, and I'll do Window, Arrange, Tile All Vertically, and we get this. Okay? This is not news to you guys. You've done some of these things before. All right, so with the cloud image active, I have to click here to make it so. I will hit the V key for move, and then I will hold down Option Shift, and you'll see as I move this around I have a black arrow and a white one showing me that I'm going to move and also center the selection in the target. It won't look like it's going anywhere, and then it will appear after you release the keys. Okay, so look over at our layer masks here, and you can easily see that what we need to do is just take the clouds and put them behind the barn so that the barn is on top. And there we go. And that's really pretty much it. Let's zoom in a little bit and see how we did here. Not too bad. We're not going to get all of it because this file's not real high res, but you can see like this blue that we're seeing here is actually in that cloud image, and I can prove that to you by just moving that blue. You see that's in the clouds. Alright, so let's zoom back out. And again, we can still play around with a little bit of these cloud layers. The cloud layer is not too much bigger, but what I could also do with that layer selected is do Command T and do an Option Shift to transform the cloud image to make it larger. Always hit Return after you do that. And that gives me a little bit more wiggle room in terms of how I'd like to place the clouds. All right. And of course, we don't need our original background, although it's not necessarily a bad idea to just leave it in the file. And if we wanted to put this on a template, we would first of all save this, and then we'll flatten it, save it as a TIFF, so the layers will be merged, and that would be a nice image to template and print out.